a Hallmark Channel feature presentation.
Well, howdy folks. Welcome back. We're going to close out the whole Hallmark Channel Christmas movie marathon with this video. So, I had something. I've been going through a tough time this year, this Christmas season. Job hours have been cut, and so I had a little something interesting happen because the software that I normally edit these videos on, well, it went to renew the subscription, and of course, me not being able to pay for it, I lost rights and privileges to that to that editing software. So if it looks a little different, I'm sorry. That's it's not my it's beyond my control. It's financial, and so it's, yeah. I'm just going through a tough time financially right now, but that's not going to stop me from producing these videos. So tonight we're going to take a look at a film from, trying to look and see what well, it's all over the place. It's from the 9 movie collection. I'm trying to see here. A film from 2015. It's 2015. So, this one is entitled 12 Gifts of Christmas. Came out, and it says 2015 is the copyright date, so let's check this one out. I don't have it. It doesn't have the insert, which has the credits information, but yeah, we'll check this one out. We may get another one in as well. So, trying to get as many as we can before Christmas. I want to have this actually done by Christmas, because I know Christmas Day I'm planning to watch some other movies that are not Hallmark related. So, and of course I'm getting a text message from my aunt. So, yeah, so we're going to check out the 12 Gifts of Christmas. It's just called 12 Gifts, not the 12 Gifts. 12 Gifts of Christmas. So, let's roll it. Well, that was 12 Gifts of Christmas. This one was kind of an interesting one. And of course, all these stories end up being a love story. That the story involves around a busy marketing executive by the name of Mark, he's working on this campaign for a digital presentation for a client, and he has not spent any time purchasing any gifts for family, friends, or even his office co-workers. So, and then there's Anna, she's an artist who's struggling to have her work entered into a gallery, and she wants to be an artist for the rest of her life. And then, of course, at the moment she's living with her sister and brother-in-law and 2 nieces. And so Mark runs into Anna at a local bakery that they just happen to run into each other, and she recommends a gift that's supposed to be for her assistant who's having a birthday. And so, well, that gives Anna the idea that maybe that she could be potential Christmas gift shopper for clients. And of course, Mark, he has not picked out one single gift at all for Christmas. So that he sees this business card, so he places a call to, and Anna picks up, and he tells her the first person on the list is his best friend from college to go buy him a smartwatch. And he gives her his credit card and everything. So she tries to go buy a smartwatch, but they're all sold out. Instead, she figures out maybe because they were college buddies who loved to watch basketball and eat ramen noodles, excuse me. And so she recommends this, she finds this restaurant and 2 tickets to a basketball game. And at first Mark is kind of disappointed. And so she's let down. He possibly fires her, or he temporarily does fire her, but the secretary just sends it to the best friend, and the best friend loves the gift. So that sparks the whole journey of maybe I should hire her more often for everything else. And like I said, he's working on this campaign, and he discovers that she's a painter and all this. They hit it off, and they're falling for each other, and so on and so forth. And so he figures out that maybe I could use one of her paintings as a part of the campaign. And that's what happens. Anna becomes upset over that. But then she realizes that, you know what? Yes, I'm an artist, but I wanted to get my work out there. And that he was trying to help her in return. So it's kind of a nice one. I wouldn't say it's a memorable film, but by any means, because it does check off kind of the checklist of what needs to be a Hallmark Christmas movie. You know, the whole thing with the generator, right? So he's an overworked single guy who's putting the business first, and then she's a lonely artist trying to pursue a career in artistry. And so yeah, it checks all those boxes, trust me. So that was 12 Gifts of Christmas. So let's do one more. And this one came out in 2021. It reunites 2 stars from Back to the Future, Christopher Lloyd and Leah Thomas. And they're joined by Chandler Massey and Lindsay Forseska. I hope that's how she pronounces her name. Fun, yeah, okay, I'm not even going to get into that, so I do apologize. So, it's simply called Next Stop Christmas. So, let's strap in and let's check out this film. Well, that was Next Stop Christmas that came out in 2021. This one was fairly... This one was a fairly decent one, even though I think my misconception of it is that it was going to take a... It was going to steal a little bit from the Polar Express, in which it does kind of, but not really. It's not a trip to the North Pole. Instead, it's a time travel movie that... It's a time travel movie in which Christopher Lloyd, he plays the conductor of this train, because we have Angie here, and she's a surgeon, she's a doctor, she's a surgeon at a hospital in New York City, and she's worked on her career, and we find out early on that she was engaged to this, or she had dated this guy who was a sports anchor for a national news chain by the name of Tyler. But then her family is calling her, say, hey, when are you coming back home? And some things have taken place that her parents have split, have been separated at least, and so she just plans to take a trip home, or she plans to take a trip. It's anyway, but to get on the train, and so she meets up with the conductor, played by Christopher Lloyd. He hands her a special magical ticket. So she gets on the train, and immediately she starts to drift off to sleep. And next thing you know, she has waken up 8 years in the past. And so she has to remember that at that time she was a med student. Her sister was married with one child, but they were working on the second child. But there was complications in her getting pregnant, and some other things going on, and she's dating this Tyler guy again. But she realizes that she's given this round trip ticket. Well, as time goes on, she keeps meeting back with the conductor, and eventually, and this is where it's taking from Back to the Future, is that the text of the ticket is disappearing. So it's taking a little bit of the Polar Express, which was one Robert Zemeckis movie, and taking from Back to the Future, which was another Robert Zemeckis movie, and of course incorporating a little bit of what would happen if storyline. And so I think this one was a little bit more interesting than the previous one we watched, the 12 Gifts of Christmas, because yeah, it has the magical element, but I felt a little bit more engaged to the character of her trying to hook up with this other guy, but the problem was there wasn't a lot of hookup with the other guy, I don't feel. It was too much of the old boyfriend who's focused on his career. He's really married to his career and not married to her. Because he does propose, but she has to make the decision, to call off that marriage. And, of course, save her parents' marriage. So, that was Next Stop Christmas. Fairly decent one from 2021. So, I think we're just going to go on to the next video. Okay, so this next one is going to be our last movie of the Christmas season. So, I thought we'd pull out another one of the Dayspring Hallmark Channel movies. This one is from 2022. It is The Gift of Peace. So yeah, I thought we'd take a look at this one. Stars Nikki DeLoach, Brennan Elliott, and as far as I know, any of the big people that's in this movie. So, from 2022, here is the final Hallmark Channel movie of at least this year, The Gift of Peace. So, let's roll it. Okay, so that was The Gift of Peace, came out in 2022. This one was a bit of a sad one, to be honest, because the whole premise is about letting go. And because what we have here is we have a young woman by the name of Tracy, and she's completely lost her faith. And she's a painter, she's an artist, and so little by little she has taken steps to heal what has become of her. And so her managers suggest that she join this support group. And this support group is led by a guy by the name of Michael at a local church. And of course there's 3 other people in there. There's also Justin, who operates a bakery, and Regina, who is she's just a volunteer so far, is what we can tell. And Ethel, also a volunteer. Now, this support group is because everybody in this group has lost loved ones. Tracy herself lost her husband. And her husband was kind of her right-hand inspiration. He was strong in his faith, and so she was kind of following after him. And he was pushing her to, go further with her paintings, because he was also taking it up as well, and he was doing all those sorts of things. And so, little by little, she starts to regain her faith, as well as the other members of the group, like Regina lost her mother. And her and her mother were the lead singers in the church choir. And when her mother died, she stepped away. She stepped away from singing. Justin lost his grandmother. He shares his grandmother's passion, owning and operating a bakery, and they're very good at what they do. And while the grandmother passed away, And that puts strain and friction on the relationship between him and his father. And then Ethel, she married a man late in life, and they became the town Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. Well, when her husband died, she lost her drive to do that. And then, of course, Michael, who's the leader of the group, and this is where the romance buds between Tracy and Michael, they both lost their spouses. She lost her husband, he lost his wife. Tracy lost her husband from a brain tumor. And Michael lost his wife in a car accident. She was killed. And so the whole premise of this movie is letting go, but also moving on and healing. And of course, they know that their loved ones are in heaven, but it's hard for them to let go and pick up the pieces and pursue forward. So, but Michael and Tracy, they form this a little bit more than friendship. So, and he kind of fills in the gap of being able to help her pursue her joy of being an artist, and she does the same in helping him to give and volunteer. So, yeah, this one was a really nice one. It was because it was heartbreaking. It was because we've all had somebody in our lives whom we've lost, whether that's grandparents, parents, spouses, and even children. But yeah, this was a good one. So if you can find this one, The Gift of Peace, it is available right now as a second movie. Yeah, so like the ones that came out this year, it's paired with one of those. So yeah, so that was The Gift of Peace. Now I want to go into another segment. I'm not going to do another movie, but I'm going to do another segment to close out this Christmas celebration of marathon of movies. So let's go on to that. Well, here I am back in the movie room. So I thought, since we ended that marathon, I would share some of my favorite Christmas movies. Now, here's the thing, I'm just going to share these. These are movies I tend to come back to time and time again. There are a few that are growing on me, but I didn't feel that they were enough to put into this list. And then there's some I just thought, I enjoy them for what they are, but they're not necessarily my favorite Christmas movies. And so, but here is, I've compiled by showing my Blu-rays and DVDs of these titles, and I'll flash up the poster, and it'll probably be right where I'm sitting, covering me up when I talk about them. But that's the limitation with the software. It's not too kind on where I put a still image. It just wants to put it right dead center. While the other one, I could move it off to the side. That's why you saw a poster appear on the right side or the left side of me. So it is what it is. But that's what I've got to work with right now. So So let's talk about this. These are, again, some of my favorite Christmas movies. I come to these time and time again, and hopefully you do too. You may disagree with me. As a matter of fact, some of your favorite Christmas movies may not be in this list, and that's fine as well. We are each different people, and yeah. So the first one is, over the years, I felt it's been kind of ruined for me a little bit, but I still do enjoy this movie for what it is. It was not a hit when it came out at all, but it's the 1983 classic, A Christmas Story, directed by Bob Clark. And what was it, last year or 2 years ago, they did a legitimate sequel to this. Peter Billingsley, who's now a producer, produces a lot of the Jon Favreau movies. He was producer on Iron Man. So him, Darren McGavin, Melinda Dillon. Of course, this film takes place here in Indiana, so yeah. I actually, and kind of sum up a story here is that I ran into a gentleman several years ago down around Noblesville, Indiana, at a local Barnes and Noble years ago. I'm going to say this probably about 10 years ago or so. And I went there because they had the Criterion Collection on sale, and I was talking with this gentleman who was back in the movie department, and he said that he knew Gene Shepard personally. And at the time, of course, with this film being a flop, he said he was emotionally devastated when this flopped, because it was his life's work, and of course Gene Shepard's voice is heard in the film, narrating the story. So it was that was kind of tough. But but it's also a neat story to hear that you run into people who that work in, you never know, this may have had something to do with films, and Indiana is no exception. I mean, we've had films take place here. There's, a matter of fact, a really popular TV series right now. You may know it by Stranger Things. Hawkins is a fictitious town, and apparently they went into they went as far as to show where Hawkins is located. And so they redrew the whole map of the state of Indiana. And Hawkins, Indiana sits where I live, or near the area where I live. So it's kind of crazy. Okay, but that's enough on A Christmas Story. And yeah, moving on. So the next three here I'm going to talk about because I always enjoyed these versions of this story. I have many different versions of this story. Now, it is, of course, based on Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And it's the 3 Disney adaptations that they have done. So the first one being from 1983, we have Mickey's Christmas Carol. This was actually a short film that was released with The Rescuers, a re-release with The Rescuers. The Rescuers originally was a 1977 animated feature, but in 1983, Disney decided to send it back into theaters for whatever reason. But they attached Mickey's Christmas Carol to the beginning of it, and it was kind of harshly received at the time because it was the first Mickey Mouse cartoon in 30 years. And matter of fact, Siskel and Ebert gave this a thumbs down because they felt that, oh, they didn't feel that the animation was up to par. And two, you call it Mickey's Christmas Carol, and you didn't have enough of Mickey in it. It was more of a Scrooge McDuck. Yeah, but it has seen the life on through television broadcasts and home video, and of course, then the Blu-ray came out, and this may even be out of print, but. And then the second adaptation they did was in 1993 after they acquired The Muppets. And that would be The Muppet Christmas Carol, in which stars the whole Muppet gang as well as Michael Caine as Scrooge. And there's been a lot of people bring up when Michael Caine made this movie about how he portrayed Scrooge, is that his portrayal of Scrooge was, I'm not acting with puppets, I'm acting with other actors. So, and yeah, that was pretty much the treatment there. And it's still a very good movie. Even though there's been controversy over the years about one deleted sequence, in which Disney Plus has been generous enough to include both the theatrical version and the theatrical version and the deleted scene version, in which that's only available as a deleted scene feature on this. It's not included in the film, but still, it's a good film nonetheless. And then third and finally with that, we have the Robert Zemeckis, Jim Carrey motion capture version, Disney's A Christmas Carol, which came out in 2009. Yeah, so and I did go see this one in the theater and saw it in 3D. It was the first movie I saw in the digital 3D, and it was movies like this that you needed to see in the 3D format. Next up is a film from 2003, I believe, and this has become a Christmas classic. It is film directed by Jon Favreau, starring Will Ferrell. It is Elf. Yes, I keep coming back to this one. It's silly fun, and it's and really this is a homage movie. It's really an homage to the Christmas animated specials that aired on television, such as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Frosty the Snowman, the Rankin Bass cartoons that air every year. And because they did there's a whole sequence in the North Pole where they have characters that are animated in a very stop motion and stop motion animation. I think it was the legendary Will Vinton, because he had done a Christmas special back in the 80s, which I have yet to see actually. But Will Vinton was a classic stop motion animation animator as well. With he done California Raisins and several other commercials and so on and so forth. So they hired him to do Elf here, to some of the animation effects in Elf, and of course it's silly fun. It's Will Ferrell, and I always like that one, and as well as this one. This one has been a childhood favorite ever since I was a little kid, and this is probably the most successful and most popular of this particular character's movies. There were several independent films as well as the films that Disney produced, which includes this one. It is Ernest Saves Christmas with good old Jim Varney there. Yeah, this is classic movie, and it always made me laugh. And I actually, when I was 9 years old, my family went to Disney. It's now Disney Hollywood Studios, but at the time it was called Disney MGM Studios, and instead of it being a theme park, it was a fully functioning theme park / film and television studio. And they took us on the back lot of where they had what they called Residential Street, and it was all the facade houses. And so we got to see a lot of prop cars and the facade houses to such shows as Golden Girls. And right across the street was the Golden Girls spin-off show, Empty Nest. It was across the street. And right next to that was Vern's house from Ernest Saves Christmas. Yeah. So we got to see Vern's house that supposedly Ernest goes in and completely trashes by delivering a Christmas tree. Okay, so the next one is, this came out the year I was born, and was not able to see this because, for obvious reasons, mostly my parents protected me from this. They didn't want me watching it just yet, but the first time I saw this, I thought it was a hoot and thought it was nothing but fun. And of course it's multiple genres mixed into one. It's a Christmas movie. It's a fantasy movie. It's a scary movie. And it's a comedy, all rolled into one. It is from Steven Spielberg, directed by Joe Dante. It is none other than Gremlins. Yeah, from 1984. A nice little treat they unveiled upon the world. Now, I think this originally was a summer release. I could be wrong. But yeah. Gremlins takes place right on Christmas Eve. So, next up, from the year 2000. Probably not the best time to be saying that joke, but this came out in 2000. Remember going to the theater to see it on Christmas Day in 2000, and has been a Christmas holiday classic ever since. It was actually a Christmas holiday classic before that, the story. Of course, until 2000, we lived with the classic Chuck Jones animated, made-for-television Boris Karloff version. Well, in 2000, Ron Howard decided to partner with Universal Pictures and get the rights, and they hired Jim Carrey to don a green makeup, and yeah, it is The Grinch. That was the original title of it. For the home video release and DVD release, they changed it to Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But when the film originally was in theaters, it was titled The Grinch. There was a legal reason that I can't remember offhand, reason why they had to change the title. yeah, I'm not quite sure because I think there was like some confusion or something. Something happened in between the theatrical release and the home video release that they had to change the title. But people for the past 25 years have enjoyed this movie. They love this movie. As a matter of fact, Taylor Momsen, who played Cindy Lou Who, now grown up, has her own rock band. She has recently done a cover of Where Are You Christmas, doing her own rock version of that movie, or a rock version of that song. And so, yeah. So there you go. And the story with me is when I saw this in 2000, Christmas Day, it was me, my dad, and my cousins, and my uncle, who were, okay, so my dad and my uncle are middle-aged. My cousins were within 5 years age difference, because two of them were twins. One is a year older than me, and we all sat in the theater and we laughed ourselves silly, including my dad. My dad does not like Jim Carrey at all, and he loved this. So, yeah, The Grinch. Now, next up is, I'm just going to roll it all into one because these are movies we watch about every year, and it still makes us laugh after 35 years. It is Home Alone and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Yes, these are the only two worth watching. I did finally pick up Home Alone 3 sometime later, but that's not really a Christmas movie, and plus, it's not as good as these two. These two movies are classic. So, yeah, I mean, you can't beat the original Kevin McAllister Home Alone movies. Next up, and this is one they play on television every Christmas Eve. NBC has the television rights to this. Now, this movie has a strange deal going on with the rights to it. Technically, the television rights are in public domain. So, like, anybody can show this movie on television. But NBC plays it every Christmas Eve. It is Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. And, of course, is the nice Ultra 4K HD version. I've had this on Blu-ray. I've had it on DVD. And the version to watch is the black and white version. Do not watch that horrible colored version. Unfortunately, that's the only version that's available on the Blu-ray instead of just porting over this. No more nitpicking. And, okay, so moving right along. This one I did see in the theater when it originally played in 1996. On the day that all this was supposed to be taking place. It is Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Turbo Man classic, Jingle All the Way, with good old Schwarzenegger and little Jake Lloyd there, as well as Sinbad and Phil Hartman, and of course, who was his wife? Oh yeah, Rita Wilson, yes, Mrs. Tom Hanks was in this movie. And, you know, put that cookie down, you know. Yes, saw it in the theater back in the day when it originally played. So, and then next up, This one I came to later on in life, and I learned to enjoy it because before that I grew up with the 1994 remake. I did not even so much as want to think about watching the original version. And then eventually I became a bit of a cinephile, and so I thought maybe I ought to check out the original. And as it turns out, I enjoy the original film more than I do that remake. That was remade in 1994 with John Hughes. Yeah, and it is Miracle on 34th Street from, when did it come out? 1947. So yeah, and this is a classic. And of course, you know what's special about this movie? And this is where you could really win an argument with, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Because Die Hard is debatable whether that is a Christmas movie or not, but Die Hard was released in the summer. So was Miracle on 34th Street. As a matter of fact, 20th Century Fox at the time kept it under wraps that it was a Christmas movie. In the poster and in the marketing campaign, they do not show Edmund Gwynn, who plays Santa Claus. They just show the back of his head with a hat, not wearing Santa attire, but it says, "You'll meet the man who created the miracle, who made the miracle," or something like that. So, yeah, I've come to enjoy the original Miracle on 34th Street a little bit more than the 1994 remake. Now, I don't hate the 1994 remake, but the original movie is where it's at. Next up, we have from 2006, directed by Catherine Hardwicke. We have, this film stars Oscar Isaac and Keisha Castle Hughes. If you don't, she's from Game of Thrones fame. And of course, Oscar Isaac. It is The Nativity Story, released in 2006 by New Line Cinema. This came out 2 years after The Passion of the Christ. And so a couple interesting things about this. At the time, the screenplay was written by a gentleman by the name of Mike Rich. And Mike Rich was a well-known, and I think he still is, a well-known screenplay writer. He was just coming off the success of Radio, a film called Radio with Ed Harris and Cuba Gooding Jr. And this was his next movie. There was another movie that he made that was really big. But anyway, my pastor at the time met Mike Rich at the time this was getting ready to be released, and had given us, our church, access to several clips from the film to use as sermon illustrations. So we got the rights to use some clips from the film to use as sermon illustration. And then, of course, they were trying to get us to go to the theater to see it, but I think they wanted too much money at the time. But that being said, yes, The Nativity Story. This is a good film. Of course, like I said, this was 2 years after The Passion of the Christ. And so some of the filming locations that they used were also used in The Passion of the Christ, such as Matera, Italy, and Studios Cinecittà, which is in Rome. So, yeah, the Nativity story. Next up, and this is one we watched last night, me and my family. We watch this about every year. Now, to be honest, this is a very depressing movie. It's strap yourself in and get the tears, the tissues ready, because it's not necessarily a feel-good movie. And despite, having the name of Walt Disney Pictures above the title, it still is not a feel-good movie. It has some shocking scenes in it and some very depressing and sad scenes. It is from 1985. It is One Magic Christmas, starring Mary Steenburgen and what is his name? Oh, Harry Dean Stanton. So, yeah, we still come back to this, and it's we just love the story, even though it's a very sad story. It's not necessarily a feel-good movie, but we feel that it's a good story. And then next up, we have from 2004. It is the first of the Robert Zemeckis CGI motion capture movies that he was making in the 2000s. It is The Polar Express with Tom Hanks. And who else is in this? There was some other people here. But Tom Hanks is the main star. He plays like 5 characters in the film, including Santa Claus and the conductor and the boy. And it was a eye-popping special effects movie that had everybody scratching their heads at the time. Because I remember walking out of the theater the first time I saw it. I was thinking it, and I overheard some other people behind me walking out saying, "How in the world did they do that? Was it live action? Was it animation?" Because we had no idea what motion capture was, but we do now, and we see what it can do. Next up, we have from 1989. This is another one like One Magic Christmas. It's not necessarily, it's a little bit more of a feel-good movie, but it's very sad. There's very sad stuff that takes place in this movie. Again, it's from 1989, starring Sam Elliott, Cloris Leachman, Abe Vigoda, and introducing Rebecca Harrell. It is Prancer. From 1989, originally released by the defunct Orion Pictures. This is a movie that we watch every year, and it's become one of those Christmas traditions that we love to watch every year. And essentially, if you really think about what this movie is, it's basically a remake of, like, it's a Christmas remake version of E.T. You stop and think about it. It is. So let's replace E.T. with a reindeer. Okay, and you have a child here who's 9-10 years old, finding a magical creature in the middle of a forest. Prancer, E.T. And what happens at the end of the film? You've got to get the creature home. So, and they even have a shot of Santa in the sleigh going across the moon. Yeah, and And I've looked at some of the credits, like there's now it's not as elaborate special effects. It was not Industrial Light and Magic who did the effects on this. It was another company called Matte World, but the people that were at Matte World were formerly from Industrial Light and Magic, and they had worked on E.T. So as you can see right there, they have the Santa and the sleigh going in front of the moon. But we enjoy that one every year, and it's I don't know, we just enjoy it, watching it, because it's one of those that has become a Christmas tradition with my family. Now, next up, when this came out, I fell in love with this movie. I watched it almost year round, and I couldn't tell you when I stopped watching this movie the following year. And it was it's Tim Allen in the first Santa Claus. Now, I have the whole entire trilogy of the Santa Claus movies, but the reason why I'm only picking this one is because this is the only good one. The sequels are horrible. I have no desire to watch the TV show that they came up with on Disney Plus. No, it's this movie, and this movie was kind of a troubled production. It was they filmed it up in Canada to help keep the costs low. And it was filmed in the middle of the summer in Canada, and Tim Allen was at the height of his career at the time. And so he filmed it just as in between seasons of Home Improvement. And yeah, he filmed it in between seasons of Home Improvement, as well as he had a book coming out at the time. And so his career was through the roof. But also the negative stuff was following him too. That's when it was revealed that he was a convicted felon at the time. And Disney had a strict policy about hiring felons and so on and so forth. But they eventually made an exception because they were threatening to not only pull the plug on this movie and possibly recast it, but they were also looking at canceling Home Improvement. That's how serious the charges were and the backlash. But it never happened. And of course, Tim was not in necessarily a good mood. Tim Allen, being in the makeup and all the prosthetics, and plus dealing with the book coming out and the stress that was taking on him, he cut loose in a profanity-laden rant over the phone, and he was in the Santa makeup. That didn't sit too well. And plus, in the film, the elves are played by children. Yeah, that didn't sit too well. And but I think the reason why I enjoy this one so much is because the story has so much heart behind it, and I think what added to that dedication and that heart was the fact that they were working on tight budget and schedule. As a matter of fact, at the time, the studio was changing hands. Jeffrey Katzenberg was leaving Disney, but he was the one that greenlit this. He greenlit Toy Story, and there was a new regime coming in. Joe Roth was part of the new regime coming into Disney. And so by the time Joe Roth came about, he's looking at, okay, we have this film called The Santa Claus in production, and they're wanting to spend more money on effects. And so he starts looking around to see what, he goes, you know what, this is a decent movie. Let's throw in a little bit more money, give you a little bit more time, and have some halfway decent special effects and visual effects in the movie. That way it doesn't look completely cheap. And so, yeah. And then when the movie came out in Christmas of 1994, was a huge box office hit, was even bigger hit on video. And that's where I saw it. It was on video and wore the tape out until I finally got this thing on Blu-ray. So, and then last but not least, we have this one I saw when it first came out on home video. I was probably a little too young to see it on home video. I definitely did not see it in the theater, but it has since been a go-to Christmas movie I watch every year. I know several friends that also watch this movie. It is none other than National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Classic. It's quotable. It came out exactly 1 year before Home Alone. As a matter of fact, Chris Columbus was originally attached to direct this. John Hughes wrote this and produced it. And originally, Chris Columbus was attached to direct this, but he left because he wasn't getting along with Chevy Chase, as so it goes. And then, so they hired a director by the name of Jeremiah Chechnik to take over Christmas Vacation. And that's when John Hughes said, hey, Chris, I've got this other movie, and gave Home Alone to him. So those are some of my favorite Christmas movies. If yours didn't make it, I'm sorry, but these were some of my favorite movies that I go to every year and watch at least once. And some of them are classics in my book. They may not be in yours. Some of them may be overplayed. But yeah, like A Christmas Story. Why does that get played every 24 hours every Christmas? But it is what it is. So I think I'm going to close up this Christmas celebration. I hope you enjoyed going through all the Hallmark Channel movies with me this year. Next year, I don't know what I'm going to do in terms of Christmas, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We still have 11 months to think about that. So, from me to you, Merry Christmas. See you in a few. See you in a few. I'll be back with another video, but this time we're gonna do something a little bit special because I think it's fitting that we pay tribute to somebody. So, from me to you, Merry Christmas, and see you later.